Hello everyone, welcome to That Japanese Mayuta podcast. It's midnight in Tokyo and as usual, I feel like talking to somebody at this time of the day. So, how are you doing guys? I have some new subscribers now, so thank you for subscribing. And there's something I wanted to talk about for a while, which is making friends in Japan. This is a very fascinating topic, and it's also kind of complicated because some people say it's easy to make friends in Japan and some people say it's not. So who's right? Let's go and find out. Now, first thing you need to know is the difference between group friends and individual friends. This is just an arbitrary category I came up with, but I think it's particularly important in Japan because group friends are the kind of friends you go out with a group of friends once in a while, even every week or every day, without really making personal connections to people in the group. So you often find it quite awkward if you are alone with, some of the or one of the members. And this happens a lot in Japan because it's a very collective-minded society. So when you are in the school, you always hang out with a number of people, but you are close to none of them. But you don't want to be seen alone, so you continue hanging out with the group. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. But personally, I am a very individualistic person, so I tend to not like group friends. And individual friends are just normal friends. You can, just hang out, going for a drink, or eat dinner together. And those two types of friends might overlap because they're not mutually exclusive, but basically those are two separate things. So where to meet people in Japan and Tokyo in particular, or any other big cities? The easiest way, if you speak English, is to go to, parties. Parties with international people, because Japanese people who go there tend to be very open to meeting new people because, that's the very reason they go to parties. And they're often interested in different cultures or different languages, especially English. And many of them who go to those parties have lived abroad or speak some English, so there might be less cultural barrier compared to very traditionally minded Japanese people. And where to find those parties? It's extremely easy. Just go to meetup.com and choose any group you want. Or you can go to Facebook and search Party Tokyo, because you can search events on Facebook and just invite yourself. There are many public or semi-public parties. And if you go to a party, just talk to people, add them to your Facebook, and invite them to another party. Or if you think you made a meaningful connection to individuals, you can just ask them for a drink, dinner, etc. It's easy. Now, that's for more internationally minded Japanese people, but what if you wanted to meet traditional Japanese people? And that's when my advice comes in handy, because I have a lot of experience, with that. I moved 3 times, in Japan and in elementary school. So each time I moved, I had to make new friends. And in high school, I was somewhat friendless, But it wasn't because I wasn't popular or anything. It was because I just couldn't find, somebody I wanted to be friends with. But there was one guy I kind of made friends with. And in university, I did a lot of things to, make some friends. So let me explain this. Now, first thing you need to do is to meet people. And many Japanese people find it comfortable to meet people through some kind of shared activities. So talking to people randomly in a bar can be quite difficult in Japan because there aren't many bars in the first place, and there's this Japanese style drinking place called izakaya, but tables and seats are separate, so it's not a place to meet new people. So you need to find some kind of hobby group or sporting event first. You can also learn something new by taking public courses, and you can find these online. So you can learn like acting, dancing, painting, drawing, anything social. Some universities also have public courses, so you can check them out. And it's not that important, what you choose. It's more important that you know how to approach Japanese people and make connections. Okay, so let's say you take a writing class. That might not be the best example because writers can be very, very introverted people, but I actually find it easier to, talk to introverted people because I'm an introvert myself, so it doesn't matter. So you go to the class, first day in your class, in the classroom, it's very silent. Everybody is minding their own business, reading books probably. And what would you do? Well, technically, you can start talking to people, but most likely, that will make them somewhat uncomfortable, to break the silence. So you can just mind your own business. So your first day's over and you go to the class next week and the week after, and eventually, okay, it's a writing class, so you write something and you hand it to the teacher, and she will probably share the writings with other students. I actually took a couple of writing courses in university, and the professor would print our short stories and gave them to us so that we could, read what other student wrote. Now, this is the interesting part. So read what everybody writes and find your favorite story. Okay, then you can talk to that person saying, hey, I read your story, I really liked it. And you can ask some questions, maybe how did you come up with the story? Or does this person exist? And stuff like that. It's a very natural way of approaching people. And this kind of excuse, I think many Japanese people find it quite comfortable. And you may, get along with her immediately. And if that happens, you can just exchange, some contact information. But even the exchange is somewhat awkward, now she's not your total stranger. So next time you go to the class, you can kind of acknowledge, her presence. Or maybe if you are comfortable with it, you can just, sit next to her and start a conversation. Now, one thing you have to remember is that if you are from, North America or Europe, it might take more time to get to know Japanese people. I generally find it very easy to meet, Western people and just, be friends with them immediately. But with Japanese people, I feel like I have to meet them at least a couple of times, before feeling I'm actually friends with them. So even if you guys don't hit it off immediately, don't worry, you just take your time. Once you establish that you guys are not total strangers, you can just find any excuse to talk to her. So when you write something, you can say, hey, I wrote this short story and I would like to know what you think, for example. Or you can say something like, I really liked your story and I want to read something similar, so would you recommend me some writers? So the key is to just approach her little by little, and there's no rush. And then when you feel that she's becoming comfortable being with you, you can just ask her a contact. This is one way. There is a more interesting way of making friends, and this is actually something I did back in university. So the thing about Japanese people who go to university or those classes is that they actually want to meet people, but because of this kind of Japanese society where it can be kind of hard to talk to strangers, they hesitate a lot. Often they feel quite uncomfortable talking to strangers. But good news is many of them are always up for drinking, which means you can just organize a drinking party. So you can talk to the professor saying that, hey, I would like to organize a drinking party. Would you mind if I share my idea in front of the class? And the professor usually says yes. At least in university, actually many professors, Japanese professors, love going out for a drink with the students. And this is actually a very creative way of asking a girl's number, because then you have a perfect excuse of getting everybody's number, including the girl you like. And it works. It's been tested. And when you go for a drink with your classmates, don't forget to talk to them. You can talk about stupid things, but you want to share something that's important, for you. For example, if you like a certain kind of music, don't forget to mention it. Because if you find somebody who likes the same kind of music, it's going to be a good foundation of your friendship. Or if you like going for hiking or like playing some sport, don't forget to share it, because you might find somebody who is also interested in the stuff you are interested in. Or if you want to go to a certain event, for example, a comic market, don't forget to share it, because then you might find somebody who also wants to go to an event and look for somebody, who they can go with. Again, if you have a good excuse to go out with, somebody, I think Japanese people will be much, much more comfortable with it. Of course, there's, always people who are more laid back and easygoing, so you can just say, yeah, let's hang out sometimes and that kind of stuff, and that might work. But if you want to be more skillful and if you want to make friends with broader range of people, it's good to have a bunch of techniques that I described just now. So I want to know what you think of my approaches, and I also want to talk about how to make friends online. So if you have some questions, be sure to ask. If you are listening to this on YouTube, you can just comment, in the comment section. And if you are listening to this elsewhere, you can go to yutaaoki.com/podcast. It's yutaaoki.com/podcast. Alright, I guess that's it for today, and see you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.